Okay, we got the negative terminal disconnected. We got the tire off. And what we got, make sure you put a jack stand up on there on the frame of the vehicle. That's for support. The next thing we're going to do is take your hydraulic jack, and very important on this part, or you'll put a hole right in this oil pan. Take a block of wood, put it on the jack, and you're going to jack this up right below the oil pan. The reason why you put the block of wood right there is because if you use metal, if you use the metal jack on the oil pan, it will break. Believe me. And that's from experience. Alright, you want to set that up right above the oil pan. And just put a little pressure on it. The reason why we do that is because we're going to remove the front engine mount. Okay, let's get set up here. The next step is gonna get you a regular screwdriver. We're gonna disconnect the air tube right here from the throttle body. And it looks like somebody put some tape right here to fix this up, but we're gonna disconnect that also. Unplug the mass airflow. Put that to the side, and you got a 10mm bolt right here. Take that out, and you're gonna take the whole air cleaner assembly and remove it. Okay. So let's get that taken care of. Okay, we got the air cleaner off. You know, if you go to all my other videos, what I like to do now over here, I didn't want to mess with that, but they put that tape there and all, so I took it off from here. I always try to put the bolts back where I got them, so that way it's easy to reassemble it. It looks like they had, I don't know what the heck these people do. They're all messed up around here. Alright, now what you want to do next is, you got a 15mm bolts. Let's see if you can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to remove this upper mount. Now once you remove this mount, the engine is going to drop. That's why we got that jack up under there. Now also, as we take out parts, as my other videos, I go over here and I start from the furthest part away, and I like to start putting them in line as I take them off, so it's just reversal when we go back putting it back together. Alright, so let's set this camera up. And let's get that mount out of there. Okay, let's get that mount. Now if you want, you can leave the bolts in the mount or put them back in there. I'd rather just put them back in there so I know exactly where they go. And then we go take this mount and put it in the line. When we come back, we'll go to the next step. Okay, continuing on. Now, the next thing we're going to do is the valve cover. Before we got to do the valve cover, we got to take off the ignition coils. They got little plastic clips back here. Let me see if you can see this. The only thing you have to do is just bring those clips back just a little bit, just like that. On each one, you don't got to remove them, just back. Squeeze the clip together, the black clip, and unplug them. Now you don't have to mark the ignition coils. I just like to. So I just take a little marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got those out. Now from the expansion tank, you got a cooling hose going around here. You probably don't have to remove it. You probably could just move it out of the way. It's good. Sometimes you might, some of you might want to remove it and all. You don't have to. All right, next we're going to get 10mm. Now I'm going to use an air gun on this, but do not use an air gun. Tighten them back up. I just like using the air gun because it's a lot quicker. The RPM is a lot faster. Now what we're going to do is take out the coils. We're going to put the bolts back. You can see, we're going to put the bolts back in there. So, you know, so we know where the bolts go at. We're going to set the coils over to the side. And then you're going to take that same 10mm socket and go around and take off the valve cover bolts. Show you an example. We got right here. Go around the whole valve cover, take off the bolts. When we come back, you should have that valve cover off with the coils over there with the other parts. All right, we'll be back. Okay, I got all the bolts out of the valve cover. These bolts that hold in the coil, you might have to take them out because they might be screwing into the head also. What I also noticed is the fuel line is kind of in the way, you know. This is really in the way. It's got this bracket back here. On the other side, down below here, there's a 10mm bolt holding that bracket on. Let's get that bracket off. And what we're going to do is disconnect the fuel. Now what you want to do is get you a set of these. You can see AP fuel and transmission line disconnect set. This is from Matco Tools. I had it for years, but you can probably find them in the prices. You can see I like this set. So let's see. We go here. Let me show you how to. Let me disconnect one for it. Disconnect this for you. Find the right one to fit inside there, and that's all you do is push up. It's going to release the spring. And I'm trying to do this with one hand. See that go in there like that, and then the line comes off. To put it back together, that's all you have to do is just snap down. You can also get a set from, go to your nearest auto parts store, and let me show you. It's a cheap set, $8 or so. Into the truck. Let's go into the truck. Yeah, that's right. This is the truck. You can also get you a little cheap set, $8, $9. Comes in different colors. You can use that also. Those work really great. Sometimes those work better than the set I got. The other set I got. All right. So I'm gonna disconnect that 10mm bolt back there. Swing this fuel off to the side, and this valve cover should be, yeah, it's already loose. So when we come back, you should have that valve cover off and that fuel line swung out of the way, and that way your harness to the coils can be out of the way too. We'll be right back. Okay, we got the cover off. Now remember, this place, they said they did a timing chain on it. Now we look, that timing chain does look like it was replaced. Looks, but as you know, when you go for a kit on these, it comes with all the gears, because the teeth on these gears actually wear out. And as you can see, this one, they didn't change that, nor the guides. The guides are still the same. So we're gonna have to sit here and do this job the right way. All right, next what we're gonna do is, let's take the, you're gonna take your jack, and we're gonna jack this, go back out here. We're gonna jack this engine up just enough so we can get these 3 bolts right here. looks like about a 17mm bolt to take off this front, that front little part of the mount right there. Okay, get this out of the way. Let's get those off, and at the same time we're going to take your ratchet, and there's that little hole right there, that's for the adjuster. Going to swing that downward, so you're going to be having the ratchet on a tightening up. Swing it down and remove the belt. Alright, let's get that done. Okay, let's see if we can, yeah, I can show you this. These 3 bolts are actually an 18. Alright, let's get those 3 bolts out of there. And just like I said, take the ratchet, put it as it in your tightening up. Oh, my bad, loosening. Get that belt off of there. Try to give me a little more time there. Okay. Okay. We got that off. And what we're going to do here is now get those 3 18mm bolts, and that's like a 15mm bolt to take out the tensioner. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, now in a minute we're going to have to let this engine down, but before we do, this little 10 hex right here, take that bolt out. Well, it's actually like a, I guess I can say a bolt, because we're going to have to get that out to get out the, that's connected to the guide. We're going to need that out of there. So get that out of there. And what you're going to do is get you a 10 socket. We're going to start taking off these upper bolts. Now remember where these bolts go when you take them out. Especially there's one right here. That's a 13 or a 12. That's different from all the rest. Right there. So get this out of the way. Swing this over to the side. Okay. And you're going to get these, the top cover. Now we got to lower it down to get that harmonic balancer off. But while we got it up in the air, let's get as much of these 10s as we can. Alright, let's get those out of there and we'll be right back. Okay. As you can see, I got most of the bolts out around the cover, and that 13mm I got out, but you see, hitting up against the frame. I'm not worried about that yet. Then what we're going to do is slowly let the engine down till it stops. Then we're going to come over here to the front. Yeah. And see, now there's that 13mm right there. Now we can take it out. It's a long bolt. Remember where it goes, okay? Now we're going to get the rest of the bolts out around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we got all the rest of them out. 5 bolts. Let's get those 10. You know, before we do that, let's get this harmonic balancer off. Let's get the size of that and we'll be right back. Okay. Here we go. We're about to take this off. 21mm bolt right there. But what we need to do first is these 3 holes right here. We need those for the puller. And that one up there seems like it's really close to get to. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this engine clockwise so we can make sure that we get that get something on that other bolt up there. There we go. And as you can see, now we'll be able to get all 3 of them. So we take that 21 with our air gun. If you don't have an air gun, it makes it kind of difficult. Try to have somebody to hold it or something, by the flywheel, or maybe put a pair of vice grips, 2 set pair of vice grips on the camshafts to stop it from turning. So let's get some air hooks up here. Let's get that off. Let's get that bolt off of there. There we go. Alright, now before we go crazy and use the tool, we're going to see if we can take it off by hand. Okay, let's see if this comes off by hand. Sometimes you can wiggle them off. Yeah, that ain't happening. So let's get the puller. We'll be right back. We're going to set up the puller. And what you're going to do is just like a steering wheel puller. This tool right here. It comes with the long bolt. And then this comes with a lot of series of other little bolts. You find 3 of them that match up to them holes. And you're going to set the tool up that, see that little part right there that sticks out? That's going to be facing towards the harmonic balancer. Okay? Let's get that done. Okay, as you see, I got the pulley hooked up, the puller hooked up, 3 bolts. Even though one is the different head, the threading is still the same. You want to try to get them evenly, try to even this out as much as possible, and try to get this puller close to the harmonic balancer as possible, because there ain't that much room up there. Then my tool is a 7/8. Yours might be a different size. You just get that, and that's all you do is just keep ratcheting that till it comes off. Me, I'm gonna hook, I got the air gun hooked up. Put on tightening. And as I hit it, it'll pull that harmonic balancer right. There we go. Got it off. Alright, now this tool is pretty much done. Now we can take all this out and put this tool away because we're not going to need it no more. And then what I want you to do is go ahead and finish taking those 10mm screws out. And we're going to pop that cover off. Alright, let's get that done. Okay, we got all the cover bolts out. We'll put a little pan up under there, just in case a little oil drip down. We won't try to be messy. Now, if you notice, right here, see a little tab right there? What you're going to do is slowly just pick up on that cover like that. See how it popped out? Matter of fact, see how the oil dropping down? That's good, because we got that pan down there. And we're going to pick off the cover, take off the cover, and drop down. Okay, we'll put that cover to the side. That cover also has the oil pump inside of it. And already I can look in here and I can tell you they didn't change nothing but that chain. It don't make no kind of sense when people do things like this. Alright, now, what you're going to do now is take the bolt that we took out for the crank, and you're going to add a lot to it. Because what you're going to do is put this bolt back in there so we can turn the engine. But you don't want this bolt to bottom out, because you can mess up the threads. So what we're going to do is get a couple of big bolts, nuts, and then put up here and take up a lot of the space. And then we're going to bring the timing as close as possible before we remove the other tensioners and everything. We'll bring this thing up to TDC. Alright, we'll be right back. Okay, I got 2 big nuts right there. take up the slack, tighten it up. Now what I want to do is turn this till now right there you'll see a mark on the crank gear right there. Now it's supposed to be lined up right there that's for TDC, but you do not want to do that yet. You want to bring it close, like 45 degrees from the mark. And let me set this camera up and I'm going to tell you why that is very important. I don't care what any book says, what anybody says at this point. Let me show you what's going on here. Be right back. Okay, this Chevy is what you have is called an interference engine, which means, which I'm surprised it hasn't, the valves and the pistons come very close to each other. When that timing is off, it can smack those valves and mess this engine up. If you have the deck of the engine and you got the 4 pistons, when these 2 are up, these 2 are down, and vice versa. When you're messing with timing, you don't want to put it at TDC because these pistons are going to be, number 1 and number 4 are going to be way up at the top, and them valves are going to be right there. So what you want to do is go 45 degrees before top dead center. So these will come down halfway and these will go up halfway, which means all 4 pistons will be below deck level, which means even if you happen to turn that cam and mess that up, you ain't got to worry about the valves smacking those pistons and messing this engine up. That's very crucial. That's why we put it 45 degrees before. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up the timing marks on the cams close as possible. And then, that's right, then we bring up TDC and put the chain on. All right, let's get back to work. All right, so we got that one at 45 degree angle. And already the timing marks are coming in play because here's the intake. That's going to be over here, and the exhaust is going to be about up to there. Now, as I said, as you can see, the gears wasn't changed. Nothing up here was changed. You know, better fact, let's get you a better look at this. Let's jack this engine up. And you can see everything in there looks original. Now, what goes on, these tensioners go bad, you know, and I don't understand why they didn't change the tensioners, but hey. And also very important, you see this right here, that little nozzle, those little nozzles gets clogged and it will not lubricate the chain, which causes the chain to go bad. And these guys, they didn't, hey man, it looks like they changed, like they changed one tensioner looks like it's been, guide looks like it's been different from the rest. You know, people are so backyard, man. If you're down this far, why not just go ahead and do the right thing? I don't know. All right, anyway, let's get this apart. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna get 2 pair of vice grips or wrenches. See these nuts right there? That's to turn these cams. But what we're gonna do is turn them, and we're gonna get vice grips to hold the cams in place while we loosen up those 2 bolts right there. All right, let's get that done. Okay, now as you can see, what I did, now I probably didn't have to do this, but I always like to be safe. Took a pair of vice grips, and what I did was clamp it onto the cam, the exhaust cam, and it's leaning up against the head at the same time. So I know that's secure. So now I can loosen up that bolt. And what I'm doing on this side, I'm gonna do the same thing, but what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna rest it up against, get a better angle at this. I'm not gonna rest it up against here, because see how that's too thin. So I'm gonna clamp it right here and go across to the other cam and put the wrench close as possible where I can. All right, so it's an 18 millimeter. Let's get that loose. Now remember, being that we got the pistons down halfway, I ain't worried about anything slipping and messing up those valves. try this one. Now those are loose. So we're looking pretty good here. Next, what I want you to do is, remember this bolt up here? We're going to take that out. Set that to the side. And there's going to be a bolt inside there. 10mm bolt. That's for that guide right there. And what you're going to do is over here to the side of the engine, there's a big nut right there. We can loosen that up too. We'll be right back and I'll tell you the sizes on that. Alright, before we go to break, what I want to do, not break, but get to the size of those bolts. Now that we got those loosened, now I want y'all to follow this video carefully before you attempt to do this yourself. Now what we're going to do is, you know what, to make this easier so you can see it, let's wipe that mark off. There. Can you see that better? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Let's slowly bring that around to top dead center. Then we're going to lock them cams into place. Okay. Now we're locked in. Now to make sure these cams do not move once we're removing this chain, I want you to have, you know, get yourself a pair of vice grips, 2 pair of vice grips, and we're going to make sure these cams stay in place. All right, let's get that set up and we'll be right back. Okay, got a set of vice grips. Now, once you start removing this, these cams, once you start removing the chain, these cams are going to spin. So what you're going to do is take 2 pair of vice grips. Forget that, there's a tool out there to line up, but if you don't want to, do it this way. Both vice grips are lined up. They're rested up against the outside of the head, because each cam, this cam is going to, when you take it off, this cam is going to want to spin this way, and this one is going to want to spin this way. So, you know, we keep it in place just like this. So we're moving. All right. Okay. Let's start taking this apart. We'll be right back and we'll get this next part taken care of. Okay. Let's start loosening things up. First, let's get this tensioner off of here. On the side over here, you got a big nut. That's the tensioner. That's going to be, let's see, we got here a 32mm. So let's loosen that up. Okay. So what we're gonna do now is take that out. Let's get you set up over here. And 2 10mm bolts. We're gonna take off that guide. All right, so let's get that tensioner out of there. you know, this tensioner just fell right apart taking it out, you know. This is that bull. This is what I'm talking about. These people, that, you know, doing that backyard stuff, man. You know, you should change these things. That's all to it. Change them. Here's the tensioner. Can you see that? Yeah, that's pretty much garbage, because when you get the kit, they come with new ones. And these are the tensioners that go bad, which causes this timing to be thrown off. A lot of these guys don't understand that. So we're going to put that to the side. And now, what we're going to do is we got the two 10mm bolts right there and inside there, and let's remove that guide, and let's take out this 10mm right here and remove the nozzle. We're back. All right, let's go over here. Go over here to our nice little table over here. You see, we got the tensioner right here. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to set this tensioner up. Now, this is like, in case you don't, if you are unfamiliar with taking this engine apart and you're just like, wow, man, this is a lot of parts. Where'd all these parts go? You try to set up you a little puzzle right here. See, we know that goes right there. Go back over here to our engine. Now, we loosen up all the bolts. And this top bolt, the top bolt to the guide over here is still in there. So what I got is a little magnet just to fish that out of there. Now, I'm not sure why this bolt looks like this. It's probably the old chain was messing this up. Wow, it's pretty messed up. You know, and these people, they just, you know. Okay, now you can see I got the bottom bolt out, and you want to look at them to make sure they're both the same size and all, which they are. And what we're going to do here, and here's the nozzle. Let's get a good picture there. What I'm going to do is take the nozzle out, take the screw out, pop that nozzle out of there. And this guide will pop out, slide right down. So we're going to go over here. I'm not even sure if they replaced the guide on this, man. No, they didn't replace no guide. Alright, so we're going to do, let's go back over here to our little puzzle. We know that's over there. We know this is going to go right here. We got two bolts in it. And then we got the little nozzle that's down there. So we know we're putting this thing back together like it's supposed to be. Now we got that off. Next thing we're going to do, now here's the other guide on this side. You got a little 10mm bolt right there. Take that 10mm out, slide this guide out, and we're going to put it back over to where our puzzle is putting together. All right, let's get that out, and we'll be right back. See, that thing is a little bit of a problem. You know what? I gotta put this camera down. Okay. We might have to take out that top gear first before we do that. which actually I think we do. We got the bolt out. Let's set this bolt over there. Let's get these bolts off of the cams. There we go. Let's get the other one off. Don't even worry about that. We can get that out of there. Got a little magnet. If that don't work, we'll get us a needle nose or something and pick that up right out of there. And while we're up here, this little top guide right there, you're looking, yeah. Let's get that off with a 10mm socket. Okay, we're gonna put that over where our tools are, our puzzle. Now, on the back side is the exhaust cam, because it's closer to the exhaust manifold. You can look at it like that. Take your bolt and everything, put it over there where your puzzle is, put it on that side. The cam is down there. So what we're gonna do now, let's get that stuff out of there. So when we come back, we're gonna have that out and I'm gonna show you where we at on our puzzle. Be right back. Okay, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We got them cams off. We go over here. See, we set up a little puzzle over here as we're taking it off. We got the chain. There's one guide that goes to the tensioner that you took off, the big bolt. Here's a guide over here. Here's the oil nozzle right there. There's a guide up there. Let's leave that alone for now. That's just halfway done. Now we're going to go to the balance shaft. Now the balance shaft, let's see how best way we can look at this. Okay, here we go. Balance shaft has a chain. That gear looks really kind of worn. This tensioner right here. See this? That's what we're going to start off removing. Let's remove these two bolts. Let's loosen them up, take them out, get this tensioner off of there. And this bolt right here, that's going to relieve this guide. So let's start off by taking off those three. Okay? Okay, let's 10mm. Let's get those three bolts out of here. Okay, we got them all loose. Now, take them up. Once you take out the tensioner, it will snap a little bit, snap back, you know, because the plunger comes out. But that's okay. Okay, you know, let's make this a little easier. I'm going to use the air gun, but you know what to do. Let's get them bolts out of there. We'll be right back. Okay, we got the 3 out. Let's yeah, that tension should have shot out a lot more than what I did, but that was really bad too. Let's get this guide. Let's set this bolt in there. And remember where that is. We're going to go up here to the second part of the puzzle. Now here's the first part. Now the second part, this is for the balance shaft. Let's set that up. Our little puzzle, okay? Next thing we're going to do is jack the engine back up. And you got two 13, or what is that? Let me make sure that's a 13 or 14 before 15. Two 15mm bolts. See right there? One right there, one right there. We're going to be taking those off because we're going to be replacing those also. But before we do that, we got two 10mm right here. Let's go into that guide. Let's get those two 10mm off. You know, while we at it, the top one and this one. Let's get those off. Now remember the location because those are different. Remember the location. So take off one, put it back over there to where our puzzle is, and then do the second one. Alright, let's get that done and we'll be right back. Okay, we got both tensioners off. And as you can see, I got them lined up exactly how I took them out. Okay. Now we're going to get to the gears. Two 15mm. Let's get both of those gears off. Remember the location of them, okay? It's very important. Remember the location. Okay, let's get those off and we'll be right back. Okay, we had to backtrack a little bit here because we are replacing these little gears. Loosen these bolts. Can we get a good better look at this thing, man? What the heck? Okay, that gear balance shaft and that balance shaft. Loosen those bolts up before you remove any of the guides or the tension up, because those bolts are kind of tight and they spin right along with everything else. So, and remember which side you're taking them off on. Okay, right now I'm taking off the intake side. You want to make sure there's no kind of washer or anything behind it. Okay, we got it off. Now that's the intake side, so that's going to go on this side of the engine, just like that. Let's zoom out here. Okay, so as you can see, we got everything where we're supposed to have it. Now we'll go over here and take off the exhaust side. That pulley right there, that big one, is for the water pump. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, and pay attention to the back of these, because see how they got that little slant part there? So you know that's how they adjust and put on there. Okay, and that's that side. Now we got enough slack to take off the chain. Take the chain off of there. Let it drop down. And matter of fact, let's drop this engine down. Because what we're going to do now is get the air gun, that 21mm right there. Make sure you have enough air pressure in there, because you want to try not to let this engine spin too much. Let's get our bolt back off of there. Okay. And the big pulley, got 2 pulleys. One, you might have to get a little pry bar to pry that off of there. And then we got 2, one in the back. Alright, let's get us a little pry bar up there. Let's try to get that off of there. It'll come off. Alright, get those off of there and we'll be right back. Okay, here we go. We got the balance shaft set up. All the tensioner, the guides, balance shaft, gears, wheels, everything. And over here we got the main timing chain. All of this supposed to be replaced when you're doing one of these. No, but these guys, they just did this little bit of chain right here and expected it to be okay. That's why we still got that code P0016. So let's get all our new parts over here. Yeah, we got a lot of parts here. Okay, and we just sit here and we just, the easy part, you know, just match it up. That one's gonna go there. This one's gonna go up here. Here's the tensioner. Chain. We got 2 gears here. Okay. So let me set up the camera. We can show you how we're gonna put this back together. We'll be right back. Okay, here we go. As you can see, we got new guides, new tensioners and all that. Now on these gears right here for the balance shafts, be very careful of these. Don't mix them up, because on these gears they actually have, you can see the word exhaust. So we know that goes to the exhaust side. So we know that goes. So there's no confusing, and this one's going to say intake. That goes to the intake side. Now, to make this a little easier, because these have little marks on them, so we can see when we get in there, we're just going to mark those arrows. And just be on the safe side, let's mark this one. And we'll put there. Now this other gear, that's going to be in another set, which I'll show you that in a little bit. Just put that over to the other side. Okay, now that we got all that lined up, we got the chain. Now the chain, if you notice, has some marks on it. Yeah, right off the top you see that yellow one right there. Okay, so it has the yellow mark. Then it has 2 dark colored links right there, and the yellow. Let me set this up, and we're going to show you what we're going to be doing here. Alright, we'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, you got a good look at this. Okay. Now, we got 1 yellow mark and 2 black marks. The unique color, that always lines up to the intake side of the engine. So on the balance shaft, the intake. So when we put this chain on, those 2 are going to line up. Then as it comes around, the black one's going to line up to the mark on there, and continuing on. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to go in there, we're going to set this chain on. But before we do that, what we're going to do is go over there. I might want to put a little grease up here, lithium grease around there, just so it can slide on a little bit, or a little oil. We're going to stick that on the front of the engine. Now this gear actually says front, so you got to make sure that goes right on the front. All right, let's get that done. We'll be right back. Okay. Okay, as you can see, we put that gear on. Now you notice our timing mark is down here, and for the gears up here. That's quite all right. That's quite all right now, because now we can move this around a little bit. We got this much to play with. We don't want to bring this past that mark over here or before the 45-degree mark over there, because if we do, the pistons might come up. They'll do a little tap dance on those valves. So now we got that set up, and then let's get that chain over here with the with the intake gear, and I'll try to set you up so you can see this. Be right back. Okay, let's get the chain up in here. Let's see, we still got the mark lined up, man. That balance shaft over here can turn. So we're gonna get that up here and lined up. It's going to be kind of difficult to be in the way. We'll be right back. Let me get that lined up. Okay, I couldn't hardly film this, so what I'm going to do is show you where I'm at. Now we got the sprockets in, chain is on. Now these bolts aren't securely tight yet. We're going to do that once we get all the guides on. But as you notice, we're still off on a time mark over here, still like almost like 35 degrees. It's lined up. The one up here is lined up. Once I do this, you can see it's lined up right there. And this one is lined up. As again, this one's the water pump, so it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter if this is on yet. Once we get all this lined up, get all the guides in there, then we're going to bring that around and set that other chain in here. All right, while we got that like that, now let's go ahead and put these guides in here. Let's start off with this guide right over here. Let's get that one. And be careful, this chain just came off like that a little bit. So I know it's off now. 2 marks, but once I put that in there, it's going to line itself up. We're going to bring it back around just like that. One more time. And then we're going to line those up. All right, let's get that all together. Starting off with the guide over here. All right, let's get that done. Okay, as you can see, we got the one guide in there. Marks are still lined up. So why don't you just go ahead and stick that upper one right in there. Okay, now remember, the upper one is going to go up under the chain. It's going to push up. All right, so let's get those bolts over here. Let's go get those put in. Be right back. Okay, we're moving right along here. As you can see, now we got the top tensioner in, top guide in, and it's going above, below the chain. And we're still lined up with these marks. That's very important. Make sure you continuously keep an eye on those marks. All right, the next thing we're going to do, let's let this engine down. Now we're going to put in the bottom guide that goes, the bottom guide for the tensioner. All right, let's get that and install that in there. Okay, we got that installed. One little bolt. Everything's looking good up under here. Now you can see these marks right here, they look like they're off, but once I turn this crank, those gonna line right up perfectly. Like this one's already lined up, this one's already lined up. Now on this tensioner, on this balance shaft tensioner, when you get the new ones, don't remove that clip, because that will release the plunger. So you want to install it just like it is. Let me set this camera down and so we can install this. We'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, we got the tensioner in there. Just gonna bring these little bit by like this, and then we're gonna tighten those bolts up. Once you tighten those bolts up, then you pull the ring back. Okay, so let's get those tightened up and pull the pin out. I'll be right back. Okay, we got that out. We're looking really good here on this. Okay, now before we go ahead and put the bolt in there to tighten that, to turn this out, let's get that new crank gear, the second one, the little one, and let's slide that on. Okay, first let's go back over here. Let's set up. Okay, we had a little problem with the camera. Alright, let's we got all the gears here that we replaced, tension and all that. Alright, all that's garbage now. We got everything set up. Here's the other one right here. All that's garbage. Now we're going to the main one. First, let's take out all our new stuff. Set up where the old ones is. New chain. We got a little oil nozzle. That's very important. Very important. New bolts for the cams. Very important. Okay, here we go, this bottom gear. Alright, let's get this all this taken apart and set up, and then we'll be right back. Okay, here we go. This is the old chain. Here's our new chain with the actual unique link. Unique link always go to the intake side. Now these gears are identical to each other, but if you notice, they have either exhaust or intake for the markings. Now this is our intake side over here facing the engine. It's on the right hand side. It's also on the side of the intake manifold, and the exhaust one is on the side of the exhaust manifold. So we're going to set these right there. We got our new bolts. Got a new upper guide, a new guide right here, a new guide right here, new crank gear, a new oil nozzle. Now the new oil nozzles come with a bigger port to allow more oil flow to the chain during low RPM. So you want to change that. You know, these guys are a backyard, man. You know, no, not putting down backyard mechanics. There's a lot of guys out there working in the backyard, just like I'm doing right now. But you know, when you get jobs like the people doing jobs like this, you know, they give us a bad name. All right. So what we're gonna do here is first, if you notice, it's got the word front on it to let you know to go on the front. And then they already marked it for us right there. Check that out. Already give us a little dot to know where it's going to line up on the chain. So the first thing we're going to do is get a little grease right there. Pop up there. We're going to pop this gear on, and then we're going to slide the guide down. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we got the bottom gear on. That guide right there, the tensioner, you slide that in from the top, slide it down, and then tighten up that 10mm bolt. Now what we're going to do is get our bolt back in here, because now it's time to line this thing back up. Now what we're going to do, we're going to bring it in, but we're gonna just barely bring it to the top dead center. Give us a little play. What we're gonna do here is find us a rag here, so make it easier for you to see this. And what we're gonna do is mark that. That's what we need to be. But we're gonna be right before that. Okay? Let's get our 1/2-inch wrench. Here we go. Slowly turn it. Now see, we got about one tooth right about there. That's what we need to be at, right there. Not all the way on yet. All right, we gotta make sure we got everything else lined up. Now you see that little white mark right there? That's where our chain mark needs to be. All right. So the next step we're gonna do, let's get these cams to set you up, and let's get the chain down in there. Okay, now we're gonna lower the chain down. Remember that yellow mark on that chain is gonna be over here to the intake. You're gonna lower it down, and you gotta remember there's a boss down there. It looks like wow, how that chain gets around there. But the chain does sneak around there. You gotta sneak it around there some kind of way. It takes a little bit, but it'll get there. There we go. Okay. Make sure the chain drops down. Okay. Now let's start off with the intake. You got a mark on there that says intake. Line that up with that yellow mark. Set it up there. Now we want to bring the bolt in by hand. Just so it won't come off. Okay, next, now what we're going to do is go underneath, and we're going to get that other one lined up. Now I'm going to set this one up here. It's got a black link up here that it's got to set on. Right now that's a little. Let's get that started. So we're gonna have to move that cam just a little bit to get that lined up. let's go up under there and set them gears up. We'll be right back. Okay, got the chain on. As you can see, we got the mark over here on the intake, yellow, that's lined up. The exhaust is lined up. And we go underneath. Let's get in here. We got the bottom one lined up and the one over here lined up. Let's see if you can see this. On the balance shaft, we got that one lined up. Okay, and we go to the other one. You can see that one's lined up. Tensioner is in. We got that. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is jack this engine up a little bit. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna tighten up the two 15s. Okay, on the balance shafts. Now inside these, they got little holes in there where you can stick a little screwdriver, a smaller screwdriver, put it there to try to keep it from actually spinning on each one. So you might want to try and do that. Let me see if I can show you one, and then we'll go tighten it up. We'll be right back. Okay, now tightening up these bolts right here. Now, when you tighten up one, the other one's actually tightening up too. So it's good to have a wrench, bring them in as much as possible, tighten them up, and once you get them tightened up, put a wrench on this one across the crank and let it rest, then tighten up that one, and then vice versa. Alright, we got that in there. We started the tensioner in there. We didn't bring it all the way in yet. By hand. Now, we didn't tighten up these cam sprockets yet. So what we're going to do, now tighten them up, it's going to go clockwise. So we took the vice grips, gripped them onto the cam, locked it up against the head. So now we can tighten up that one, and then on this one we're going to do the same thing. We're going to run it across and then tighten up that one. Alright, let's get that done. Okay, we got that tightened up. Now we still got to get that tension over there tightened up, so don't forget about that. We'll go over these again. We got the mark lined up right there, mark lined up right there. Go into here. It's a little past the time, but we know it's lined up. The mark up there lined up. Alright, now what we're going to do is go over here. The next thing we're going to do, we still got the nozzle and we still got the gear, the guide over here. So let's get this guide on next. This guide is going to go like this, and it's going to slide up to the side of the engine. And bolt on, and then the other bolt goes through that little hole in the top. Let's see if we can get a good look at this. Okay, so we can get this up here. Whoops, gotta get that on the side of the chain. Okay, just like that. See that? Now let's see where that hole, the first hole at. Right there. Okay, we're not going to tighten this one up. This one we're just going to start by hand because this one has a slot on it for an adjustment. Alright, then we're going to go on top. And you're not going to be able to see where the bolt goes. We're going to put that bolt in there and tighten it up. It's hard for me to get to that holding the camera. Get to it. Alright, let's get them bolts in there and tighten them up. We'll be right back. Okay. Got those tightened up. Man, this thing is doesn't seem secure anymore. Okay. Oh, our battery's going dead on this. So you know, let's put this back in there and tighten up that tension over there. I'm going to charge up this battery and we'll be back. Probably when I'm almost done. We'll be back. Okay, I let the battery charge up for a few minutes. I hope we can get a lot done here. All right, we got this plug in over there. We tighten up the tensioner. Now, once you tighten up the tensioner, you want to take a long pry bar. You want to stick it down in here and put pressure up against the tensioner on the chain and the guide. That's going to set that tensioner. It's going to snap back and put tension on that. Ask me any questions up there if you have any questions about you feel any doubt about that. All right, next we got a new timing cover gasket, because they didn't even put a new timing cover gasket. They just put silicone around there and they used the old gasket. Then we put the cover back up there. Remember that 13mm bolt, long one, that's tightened up. Let's see what else we did. Remember this guide up here, we installed that. Timing marks are still on, everything's set up. The next thing we're gonna do is put the harmonic balancer on. Now, the harmonic balancer, if you notice the way it looks, see how it is right there? Them two flat sides, that's what drives the oil pump. You gotta put those in there. And notice the keyway is up here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna look up here, and I can see the keyway on the top. So we gotta get a screwdriver or something and turn that pump to get those sides on both, get the flat sides on both sides, and we should be right up in there. Matter of fact, we might be able to, let me try something here. Now you figure those are up there like that, so if I just put it in slightly and then turn, oh yeah, there we go. We put it in there, lined it up with the pump, pushed it in just a little bit, turned it. Now we're lined up with the keyway. And I'm gonna take both my hands, and I want to make sure that I'm on that keyway before we tighten that up. And I don't think I am. Okay, it's the keyway is right there. We'll be right back. I want to make sure I save this battery. We'll be right back. Okay. I used both my hands and brung that in, lined it up, and then I took a rubber mallet and I just tapped it on. Now you can get the bolt, put it in there. I'm going to use the air gun. I got to build up some air pressure, and we're going to tighten that up. Alright, so let's get that done, and we'll be right back. Okay, got some air going here, 21mm socket. Let's get our air gun, and let's tighten it up. See, you know, I put some pressure on that to tighten that up. Okay, now let's jack this engine back up. Everything's looking good around here. Next step, we look over here. We have the belt and the tensioner. Get this tension in here. As you see, it's got a little dot right there. That lines up with the dot on the timing cover. Alright, let's get that tightened up and let's put that belt back on. Okay, we got that connected. Next in line, this tension, this camera thing needs to be up higher, man. Dang it. Alright, next in line is the front bar that goes to the hole in the mount. Let's get that. Three 18mm bolts. Let's get those tightened up. Right back. Okay. Moving right along here. I got the valve cover set up. Let's get these wires out of the way. Things out of the way. Let's get that valve cover set down. Go. Now these are the bolts for the coil. We're just going to set them in there. We don't need them yet. Alright, now let's start from the center, start going around. Let's start tightening these bolts up, 10mm. Let's get that done so we can move on to the next step. Be right back. Okay, next, let's get this bracket up here for this fuel line. Remember that 10mm bolt we got back there. Let's get that lined up back in there. Okay, we're going to tighten that up, and let's see, can you see that? Yeah, we know that's going to be tightened up right there. So let's go ahead and snap this back down. You'll hear it snap into place. That's good. All right, let's get that one back there tightened up. We'll be right back. Okay, next step. Turn this, zoom out a little bit. The ignition coils. Remember, we got them numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get them up there. We got the harness. Make sure we got this harness going around here. Okay. Number 3. Oh, that was number 4. That little came out of there. This was number 3. This is number 4. Let's push down on them. Number 2. And number 1. Now once you get very comfortable working on cars, you can actually take your 1/2-inch drive gun, especially if it has an adjustment of high, medium, or low. You want to set that down to low. So See, it's hardly any torque at all. Go ahead and put them down. Okay, go around here, let's plug these back up. And we're going to snap those clips back into place. We're done with that. Next, we're going to go around here and we're going to set this mount on. Alright, so let me go get that mount and we'll be right back. Okay, let's see if we can get a good angle at this. Let's take our bolts back out. Three bolts on the top. And what we're going to do, we want to mount it up to the engine first, because we're going to have to lower the engine down to bolt it to the body. So remember, you're not going to tighten these up round, you're just going to get them started. And once they're started, let's lower this engine down a little bit. See, now we can still move this around and get these other lined up. Now looks like we can let it down just a little bit more. Alright, now let's get our 15mm, bolt all of them up. We'll be right back. Okay, let's bolt them up. Now we can put on a higher torque. Okay, now we can let the engine down all the way. That's that. Next step we're going to do, we're going to set down the air cleaner. Okay, let's go get that air cleaner and put that on. Right back. Okay, let's get this air cleaner hooked back up. Don't forget to plug up the mass airflow sensor, or this thing will run really bad. Get this down there. Okay, let's tighten that up. Tighten that 10mm bolt up there and go on to the next step. As a matter of fact, when you're done with that, connect that negative terminal on the battery. Be right back. Okay, got that connected. We got to give this battery a jump. I don't know if something was left on before it got here. I don't know. We got to give this thing a jump. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up over here. We're going to get a car over here and get it a jump. We got all our gears and tensioners and guides and everything. And the balance shaft and all that should have been changed when this guy did this timing chain on it. It's obvious. It looks like he did the timing chain. At least it looks like it. Yeah, he did. But if the tension is no good, no matter what kind of chain you put up there, it's always going to throw that code P0016. You got to change everything. All right, so I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna get a vehicle over here. I'm gonna jump it, and then we're gonna start this vehicle up and check it out and see how it runs. We'll be right back. Okay, we got the jumping cables hooked up. Everything's hooked up. Let's start up and see what we got. running beautiful. That's what I'm talking about. Everything's running great. Make sure nothing's leaking no oil up under there. Oh, this is a great job.